Hey everyone, I'm Devin, your friendly neighborhood board gamer, and this is Devin Talks Tabletop, the YouTube channel where the games are made up. What I say doesn't matter. Thank you for being here. I have now got my Winner Chicken Dinner PUBG mug because I brought some unsweet tea from the house. Timestamp. This is going to be my PAX Unplugged recap, and I don't really have any format for this. I'm just going to be kind of chatting about my experience from the convention. It was a good one. I'm tired. I slept in today quite a bit, just given pent up fatigue over the course of the weekend. It was a really good time though. I ended up flying in earlier on Wednesday night so that I could have all of Thursday there. I was helping Meg set up the Addicts booth and also just making it to where Thursday wasn't such a grind for me to both travel in, get ready with the booth, and kind of like get situated in Philadelphia. So it was nicer to get in first. I think that my experience is probably different than some people's at conventions like this. The best part of the conventions for me is essentially the after exhibit hours. So, namely, that's usually because I'm working during the exhibit hours. In other circumstances in which I wasn't, maybe I would enjoy just going around to the booths, demoing, taking games over to the first look and to the play areas, and checking out games nonstop and playing them. That sounds like a lot of fun. But given the perspective or the way in which I have been experiencing conventions, the exhibit hall hours are like kind of the very tiring period that you have to get through. And then the after hours are the ones that I typically enjoy. And I also enjoy them usually in a very specific context in which there's only like maybe one or two nights, usually only one if I can help it, where I'll do like a larger gathering just because my like extroverted batteries run down, and if I'm hanging out with 4 or 5 people or so, or 2 or 3 people, that doesn't really tire me out because it feels a lot more closer, a lot more intimate, and I enjoy it and it doesn't drain me. But larger settings usually do drain me. Unless it just feels very comfortable and very natural. So, anyways, to rehash it, I got in Wednesday night. Wednesday night, I went out to grab some food and drink, and I met up with Henry Audubon. He's the designer of parks. Henry is a super thoughtful guy, super wonderful person. I had a delightful time. There's a bar that I found last time while I was in Philly called Charlie Was a Sinner, which is a vegan bar and restaurant. And it's just this very intimate, small, like narrow venue, and I really enjoy it. It's got great food, and it's got really good drinks. And so I met up with him there, had a delightful time. We talked for several hours. And also he was a very, very good host of Philly and walked me through the UPenn campus, which has like a gorgeous, like kind of not not credenza, that's not the term, but essentially like this massive statement walkway through campus lined with trees, and it's got all these historic buildings on all these sides. Just a very, very beautiful place, and so we walked through that at night, which I appreciated him kind of touring me through that section. And then we ate at the bar and restaurant that I enjoy and had a good time. So it was just really good opportunity to spend some human, non-work related time with Henry. He's a very, 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 very intelligent person, very thoughtful, and very good, provoking conversation all around. So that was my Thursday night as I spent some time with Henry. And then Thursday I spent kind of like a slow morning because I knew that people weren't coming into town until later. Slow morning, relaxing, and then I made my way over to the convention center. And Meg and Alex had not made it yet in with all of the Addicts booth stuff that they were bringing from Cleveland and from New Jersey eventually with Mutty. And so I just went over and kind of spent some time with my Lucky Duck friends, and I helped Bree and Chris and Sean kind of get the booth ready, and Scott too, but I think Scott had some meetings and so he headed off. So I spent some time with the 3 and 4 of them at the Lucky Duck booth, helped them get set up. And then by that time, after a while, Alex and Meg had made it in. So I went to go help them get their stuff situated and get the booth supplies ready. So I finished doing that. And then afterwards, we worked for a couple hours or so to kind of get the things that we needed to get. And then Thursday night was the Camp Co-op Hangout. And so several of you subscribers on the channel are people who migrated over here from Camp Co-op after spending time with Alex and Meg on there, watching them do Gloomhaven and other cooperative, but mostly just competitive between the two of them games. And some of you, found them on your own, but we're here. But anyways, there's a crossover of people who watch our content. And so I was able to kind of crash that party. I didn't know about it until, maybe a couple weeks before the convention, and then was still uncertain if I felt like it would be cool to crash it. But I did crash it. Crash it I did. And that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that thoroughly. We were at the Board and Brew, which was kind of closer back to where my Airbnb was from the night before. That's on like the West Philly side of the river. And so we were at the Board and Brew, and we just played a bunch of games and hung out. And so, there was George there, and Stacy was there, and Alex was there, Rob was there, Bryce came with his wife Callie, and then, Nelson, Roberto, and Kate, they came by after a while to join me and Meg and Alex, and quite a few other people. I'm missing one or two names to be certain, but did I say Rob? I think I said Rob. Did I say Sam? I'm not sure if I said Sam. Anyways, a lot of people came by. A lot of friends who. This is part of my favorite aspect of conventions, is getting to meet people that you only communicate with online, and have that kind of like. It is a real relationship. It is a real like friendship or connection, but it's kind of like this like phantom detached thing that you don't really anchor onto a person until you're able to meet them. And so, it's like these floating ephemeral contact points that exist in the internet. And then, I'm able to identify the people that belong to these relationships that I've established. And so that was really nice. I played Welcome to the Moon, which I almost beat Alex and Meg jointly, which was very exciting because I didn't know what I was doing, and Alex got very nervous. And then we played Welcome to the Moon. We played another one that I'm trying to think of right now, Timeline, which Alex and I had to leave to go do an errand and bring some stuff to a hotel room. So we missed out on the end of Timeline, but we did that. I played Nidavellir. With, so we had that Camp Co-op hangout, and then prior to going out there, we had bumped into Travis Chance and Lindsay Friend, and it was wonderful to see them. And then they were like, hey, what are you guys doing? We're like, we're going here. And so they ended up showing up and hanging out with us, which was nice because it just added more friends into the mix. So Alex and I, when we got back, the rest of the crew were in the middle of a game. They were in the middle of they were doing a cartographers game. And so they were playing cartographers, and we didn't want to hop in while they were doing that. So Alex and I played, he taught me Czar, which is one of those abstract games. I really liked that. I think I'll try and pick that up, actually. And so he taught me that, and then by that point, Travis Chance, Lindsay Friend came over and hung out with us. And I think, did we play with a full five? I think Nelson Oliver joined us for Nidavellir as well. Yes, he did. And so it was the five of us playing Nidavellir, which I really enjoyed, and it kind of reassured me that I really wanted to try out the Thingvellir expansion that I have, and that I was intrigued by the Edavol expansion that was coming out. Had a delightful time with them, and then at that point, Travis and Lindsay had not eaten yet, so they headed out, and we potentially to meet up later, but they went to go get some food, and so the other group was still playing, which meant that Nelson and Alex and I played Calico, which was my first time playing Calico. And I enjoyed it. It was definitely, I'm not instinctually good at spatial pattern recognition games. It was a little bit of a obstacle for me to kind of work my brain around. But it ended up going well. It was a fun game. I liked it. I can see why people enjoy it. It's a very cute game, very relaxing game. But there is a little bit of like spatial planning there, which I imagine could be fun, and I can see why people like it and Isle of Cats and Verdant, Cascadia, those kind of games. So we played that on Thursday night, and I think that was kind of the last game that we played with the crew, and then we took a couple of group photos, which was a lot of fun. So Board and Brew was a delightful time. Camp Co-op is such a very wholesome, wonderful community of people. And thank you to Stacy Everdell, for kind of setting that up, because she's based in Philly and was able to be the the host of the event in terms of getting everything situated. That was my Thursday night. And then Friday was, the beginning of the convention. So I started working the booth in the morning and helped with that. And then it was also a process of when I wasn't working the booth, I was kind of going around and just touching base with my friends and contacts and stuff. Oh, wait, I missed Thursday night prior to that. After that, I went and changed and, showered and gotten some new clothes and stuff. But like I said, Travis, I was going to meet up with him later. So me and Travis Chance met up at a I don't want to call it a speakeasy. It's more of just like a kind of private cocktail bar called the Randstead Room, which is a really cool place. I liked it a lot. It had a really good ambiance. I liked the place. So Travis and I met up and chatted, and it was really good to get to spend time with him. I know that Travis has spent time with Jesse over at Quacklope, and then Alex and Megan stuff with Board Game Co. and Camp Co-op. So I know that he spent more time with them, but this was kind of one of the first opportunities that I had to spend a lot more conversational time and friendship building with Travis on this trip. And so that was a delight. And Travis and I were alone for a little bit. And then eventually George Georgiadis, who is head of Oniro, if you have seen any of the bajillion Kickstarter trailers he's done, George came along with David Diaz, who does similar graphics, animation, trailer work. And they're competitors, but they're friends. And so you might also recognize David Diaz from his design Fossilis that he did with Kids Table Board Gaming. So the two of them came out, which made our party 4, and then eventually Jeremy Howard came out, and there were 5 of us. That was we closed down that bar. That was a lot of fun. It was a really good time. Good night, good conversation. That was the end of Thursday night. Cue into Friday, where convention time started. Got all of that stuff working, got the Addicts booth running, kind of like went through the growing pains of figuring out what works and what doesn't at the booth, and figuring out ways in which for future conventions that we want to strategize or organize or plan things. And so I have been working booths, but I haven't been like in the conversation of the logistics side of it and the planning side of it. So that was a new kind of novel dynamic to my experience, was figuring that stuff out. And that was fun. That was good. But it was nice to meet some of the Addicts team in person who I haven't met. I met Josh, and then also he's the lead playtesting lead. And then also Tom from Mandatory Quest, who is a UK content creator who is very much into Gloomhaven content and soon to be Frosthaven and Rove content. He flew over for the convention, so it was wonderful to get to chat with him. I hadn't met him before. And then, Friday and Saturday and Sunday, to condense all of the exhibit hall hours into kind of one overview to where I'm not rehashing it every time, was a mix of working at the booth, having some breaks, food and drink, and then also in my off time meeting other people. So I got to try out Gosu X for a little bit. I really liked that. I want to keep trying that one out. I only played through like half or a third of a game because it's 2 or 3 rounds max. Really liked Gosu X. I can try and give first impressions of games in another video. I got to play test Joyride, the survival of the fastest from Rebellion Unplugged, the same team that did Sniper Elite, and I like that. I want to see more of that. We only got to do 1 lap because it was a 4-player one, and we didn't want to extend too much time and take away demos from other people. But I liked that. I liked Gosu X. I got to play a 4-player Crokinole game with Alex and Jeremy Tracy, who is the owner and operator of Tracy Boards, and so he played with us. He sat down and played with us for a little bit. I didn't know if he was going to be there last year. He just had someone who was working in his stead, but this year him and his wife Elaine were able to come down. It's my first time meeting his wife. She was wonderful, and it was good to see Jeremy again. I haven't seen him since my trip to Cleveland, in which we got to play Crokinole with him. So that was a blast to get to spend time with him. And we played Crokinole, played Gosu X, played Joyride. Well, I really didn't play a lot of games during convention hours. Maybe that was about it, but I went to go see a bunch of people at a bunch of different booths. The amount of people that I have been able to meet over the last 18 months to 2 years has been really, really enriching. I'm grateful for all the people that I'm friends with, and to try and name all of them would mean that I would miss naming some because I'd be forgetful, and I don't want to do that. So, really good time meeting a lot of good friends, and it was also cool to start seeing. The last time I saw Rove on the table, it was a prototype in Cleveland, and this new prototype has come a long way, and so it's nice to see how much that has shifted in the small span of time since then, and I'm excited to continue seeing it grow as we push towards the Kickstarter. So that was a lot of fun as well. I would say that in terms of meeting people who I had not had the chance to meet, I have been in the orbit of several individuals, but not necessarily having an actual conversation with them, like maybe one or two words exchanged, but not really having a chance to talk. There was a dumpling place that I was walking by one night, I think it was maybe Saturday night, where Nick and Mike, the brothers Murph, they were there and they were finishing up dinner with Matthew Judge and Paula Deming from Watch It Played and Dicey, so the four of them were all together. And actually, no, I apologetically am missing out on the fifth member of their party that night. I don't actually know that guy. He's familiar to me visually, but I don't know his name. Anyways, the brothers Murph and Paula and Matthew were there. They were really sweet and gave good recommendations, so I want to go to that place the next time that I'm in Philly. I got to talk with them for more than just one or two words, a few sentences, a little small conversation. It was nice to chat with them. Had the opportunity to chat with quite a little bit with Rodney Smith and then Adam Smith, who I did not know were related at the time, later. And so I really admire both of them. I think Rodney, has been such a powerful, character in the community for such a long time and has been kind of influential in terms of being one of the establishing members of the board game content creator community at large. And so, and is also just really good at what he does. So it was really wonderful to get to chat with Rodney. And then Adam is a fantastic individual. I love someone who is much better and consistent about getting solo content done, because to me it means that you get to play all of the games that you put off playing because you're like, I want to play it with this person, and he gets to play them all because he plays them by himself. And so I'm thoroughly jealous of the remarkable persistence with which he's able to table a lot of games that I like. And it was good to talk to him because just from his channel, I know that he plays a lot of games that I either really enjoy or know I'm interested in. So I feel like we have a similar taste in terms of board games. So it was really wonderful to get to chat with Adam and Rodney, and just kind of further cemented my knowledge that I just need to take like a Canadian road trip to visit. I've met so many awesome Canadians in the last 2 years, outnumbering the amount of other nationalities I've met. And I'm like, I just need to go hang out with all these Canadians because there's so many good ones out there. So it was wonderful to meet them. I met Jeffrey Kornberg from Dragon's Tomb. He's wonderful. Has an absolutely adorable child that was born recently. So yeah, no, definitely so cool to have met him. I think he's hilarious. His scripted comedy videos is a delight. He's one of my favorite content creators in the space. I don't watch a lot of board game content just for the sake of time, but I would 100%. I watch just about anything he does, and I love his stuff. So let's see, plenty of other people that I met. I got to see Max again. Doolin, I once again missed. I think I've gotten to talk to him like barely once at Origins or whatever, whenever he came by the Lucky Duck booth. But Jamie and Jeff from Foster the Meeple, got to talk to them for a few sentences more than I have the last time, and they're really sweet. And I also just got to meet quite a few subscribers and friends as well. Rob McPherson was at the Camp Co-op thing. He was the Rob that I mentioned, so it was nice to meet him because I've seen him on Facebook and stuff. I haven't interacted with him yet. It was good. I saw John Weeks. I saw Jonathan Weeks. I saw John Tripp. I saw, oh goodness, so many people. I saw Colton and, oh man, just so many people from that I see comments on all the channel. Goodness. There's so many that I'm missing right now. I knew I should have written all these down. For context, for all of you subscribers and friends and stuff who I met at the convention, every time I met you, I was like, I need to write down the names so that I remember this when I do my video. And now I'm just blanking. But, Bryce, Stacy, John, Colton, Eddie, an abundant amount of people who I interacted with who are just incredibly sweet and endearing people. Thank you for being here and hanging out, and also thank you for being so cool and wanting to come out and hang out in person or say hey in person. But definitely had a good time. Other evening events, I went to the Cephalofair party where they were at an axe throwing place, and I was pretty good at it. But you know what? I could not beat freaking Connor from Inside Up. He just has that Canadian DNA where, he just juices up axe throwing abilities every time he goes out. I had a wonderful time meeting him. I met Stephanie Kwok from First Fish Games and her team. They were all wonderful. And yeah, I just couldn't beat freaking Connor, man. Couldn't beat Connor. Oh yeah, I got to see over the course of the convention a couple times, but that they were also at the axe throwing thing. I got to see Danny Sandrine and her husband, and then also Ben from Clask, who's a very, very wonderful man as well. So, man, too many good people to remember all of the good people that there are out there. Had a really good time. Had a really, really good time. So that one was Friday night, and then Friday night I wanted a smaller venue hangout, and my external batteries ran out at the Cephalofair thing. There was a lot of people there, and I kind of realized before I got there that I was tired. So then I eventually went ahead and went back to Charlie Was a Sinner. It was Wednesday night was Charlie Was a Sinner. Thursday night was Rancid Room. Friday night was Charlie Was a Sinner again. And George and David came out as well. And then I got to meet Adam Minton from Funko, who is an absolutely charming individual. He was wonderful to get to know. And the four of us had some really good conversations, a really fun time. And that was Friday night. And then Saturday night, my after-hours hangout was getting dinner. And that was at Picana Brazilian Steakhouse. And so Joe, One Sharp Joe, who is also someone that I was hanging out with over the course of the convention, Joe came around and, is an absolutely sweet human. And he was the kind person that went and booked the reservation, because if the rest of us had tried to, we would have failed. And so George and David came out again. Me and George and David hung out like the whole convention. So George and David came out. Joe was there. I was there. And then Matthew Ryan, I think Ryan's his last name. Matthew, who is the head of, Envy Born Games. It is Envy. I know it is Envy. I think it's Envy Born Games. But Matthew is a designer and developer who's worked on a lot of titles, and he's kind of pushing out on his own now. And I'm thoroughly excited for him, and I think that he's got a lot of potential. He was responsible for Mind Your Business and a bunch of other titles, and this was my first convention to get to know him, so Matthew was really cool. I liked him a lot. And then Crystal from the Rawstone team, so she works with Jeremy Howard. At the Rawstone team, Crystal and I had met up at, I think it was Gen Con. I'm trying to remember what bar it was. I think it was Gen Con, because I think it was Indianapolis, and I think it was one of the Marriotts. Yeah, it was it was not the Marriott that has Connor's Kitchen. It was the other Marriott that is off by itself. So yes, Crystal, the last time her and I had hung out was at Gen Con, and we, had some drinks together and hung out and chatted, and she was able to swing by with us. So it was the 6 of us at the Brazilian Steakhouse, which was a lot of fun. And then later that evening, I met up with Jeremy Howard and West from Quackalope, and then Jeremy Tracy, who wasn't free until midnight that night because he was running Crokinole tournament inside the exhibit hall. So the four of us, kind of drank some Saturday night and hung out at Barley Chinatown, which was a cool little bar. So I say little, it was a big bar. It was a cool big bar. That was my convention, guys. I think that was a recap of pretty much everything I did. I'm obviously forgetting people, and I'm obviously forgetting a couple events, but hey, I have slept a lot today to make up for that. So the non-sleeping. I'm also not drinking alcohol for a little bit because I had too much. Timestamp. See you guys next time. Let me know if you went to PAX and how you had it. How you had it. Let me know how you had it. That makes sense. Let me know what you thought of it. Let me know what your favorite things were. Let me know if you've ever been to PAX before. And let me know if you want to go some other time. All right, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.